What's up guys, Mitch Pelk back with another episode of Pelk Talk. Today, I talked to my guy, Overtime Tom. Tom is the manager of all Overtime's social media accounts. Overtime is a company that focuses on young talent and spreads sports-related content through all platforms. Today, we talked about how we met 4 years ago, and Tom takes us through the wild journey of how he started working at Overtime. Overtime as a company has been so successful, amassing over 1 billion clicks per month on all platforms. I cannot wait for you guys to listen to this conversation. Please let me welcome my guy, Overtime Tom. What's up guys, Mitch Pelk back again with another episode of Pelk Talk. Today joined by the legendary Overtime Tom, manager of all Overtime's accounts, and we could say longtime friend. Tom, how you doing?
For sure. I think we're homies at this point. I'm doing well. Just trying to stay safe during quarantine. Working a lot. How are you doing?
Good. You at the parents' house?
I'm back at the parents' house. Overtime's located in New York City, and that's where I usually am at. But during quarantine, had to get out of the city, come back to the parents' crib, and I am under their roof, and it's exciting. Where are you at?
I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia right now at the mom's house. Doing good. How's it been though? You probably haven't been back for this long in a while.
I haven't been back under the parents' crib in a few years. First couple of weeks were pretty dicey. They were kind of on my case a lot. I was on theirs, but I think we've worked in a good partnership now. Me and the pops are working out at night. We got to get mom's cooking dinner. I'm back like I never left. It's good.
I love that. So kind of give the fans a little background about yourself. You know, who are you? Kind of what do you do?
Yeah. So anyone that doesn't know, I work at Overtime. Overtime is like a sports media company for the next generation. So like for people our age, you know, anywhere from like 13, 25, 30, like, you kind of consume sports differently than you did even 5-10 years ago. And a lot of it's digitally, a lot of it is like through comedy and through different humor and through highlights. So we focus on that fan and figure out kind of as a sports fan, what do you want to see? And I run all of our social media there. So we have, you know, accounts on all the platforms. It's at Overtime on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, everything, YouTube, everything you can think of. And then we also have accounts all throughout focusing on different sports and different genres as well. So I kind of oversee all of that, and kind of been with the company since day one. We're like 3.5 years in now, and it's been cool to see how much it's grown for sure.
That's sick. So we kind of met. You reached out to me. I think it was sophomore year of high school. You kind of reached out. I don't know if it was text or DM, and you're just like, look, like, hey, I saw your videos on YouTube. I think it was, and you're like, I've seen your stuff. Like, I'm starting this new company called Overtime. I think you guys only had like maybe 20,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like I like what you're doing. You know, I'm in New York, you're in Virginia. We can't really do much, but I just gotta say, keep doing your thing. And if you're ever in New York, like kind of reach out.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like I'm obsessed with watching anyone who's making content, especially in sports. And like, I mean, you were what, a sophomore in high school when you started doing it? And like, I thought they were hilarious and reminded me of like me and my boys. And that's kind of like how I think Overtime wants to be. It's like normal kids in high school, like, and that's kind of how we caught fire. Like everyone sees athletes on like TV and pro players, and it's hard to relate to them, right? But like if you show them a high school athlete, and that's kind of where we started. And we've done older and pro athletes now, but starting in high school, it was like, all right, I can see Mitchell or Zion or Jalen Lakir, like these top athletes, like going to math class and feel like I could be them one day or like be like them. And I think your YouTube was like that specifically when you started, and that's why I reached out. And like, I don't know. I just think that like it's good to show love to the people that are doing a good job.
Yeah. How do you kind of remember that first video you saw of mine?
Oh, I mean, everyone's seen your haircut ones. I mean,
Yeah.
you and Buck just going at it. But I don't remember for sure. I like that one. I showed another. There's a college athlete who's trying to do something similar to what you're doing. Basketball player, start some podcasts, do some vlogging, and I sent him the video of you and your friends doing like the hot chip challenge or hot sauce challenge.
Yeah, the hot sauce challenge, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think like, I don't remember exactly what video, but it's that it moved fast and that was entertaining.
Yeah, no, I miss those days a lot. It was just oh god, that's so high school. But and then so not this past February, time is flying. February of 2019, I came up there. I had to film a video with RJ for TLN. And after we got lunch, and it was such a surreal moment for me. I remember, you know, meeting you and kind of over the past like 3 years, just not really only talking to you on social media, and now like meeting you in person. I just remember being like such a sponge, like trying to ask you so many questions and try to get so much information.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's I meet a lot of people through like social media, right? And like texting and DM, and then like when you finally meet in person, it's like, oh, this is so weird. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like that interesting world that we live in. But yeah, I mean, when you showed up, that was awesome. What we went to the Knicks game that night too, which is
Yeah, that was sick. Yeah.
sick.
That was actually my first time in the city, and I thought it was so sick.
I
And
was not a city person until I moved there. Like our company's there, but I'm from the woods up here in upstate New York, kind of. It's not upstate New York, people call it that, but
yeah,
city's dope. Everyone's got to make it out there.
no, I liked it a lot. And kind of one thing I remember was, and this is when TikTok like was still like just doing dance videos. I remember this. I'll never forget it because I always think about it. And you were like, dude, like you gotta get on this app called TikTok. And I knew of it, and I knew it was kind of like Vine back in the day, just dancing videos. And you're like, dude, you gotta get on it. Like it's a new thing. Like you can make a name for yourself early. I remember downloading it. And I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. I can't make a name for this. And then now it's like such a big thing, and I always think back, like I could have really done something with that.
Dude, I luckily we were first like early on TikTok at overtime. And like to be honest, I have that same thing about like my personal TikTok because like I did a awesome job like growing overtimes. We're about to hit 10 million followers. It's so sick. But like I never even put 2 seconds into my own TikTok. And I'm always
Yeah,
like, why don't I just spend like an hour a week doing this? I could have like 100,000 followers. But no, it's cool. And like I know I remember telling you that. And back then it was just like a dance app. And it was like, what are we gonna do on there? It was fun for me because like overtime, like I said, it's like 3 years old, right? So like any social media platform, we're way behind, right? Like we're on Instagram. We have like almost 4 million followers. It's great, but like we're never gonna catch like ESPN and
yeah,
Sports Center and Barstool and House of Highlights. Like they were all on there like 5 years earlier than we were. And same thing with Twitter, Facebook, whatever. But TikTok, it was like the first app since I've started running social where I was like, okay, I can get on here at the same time or even earlier than everyone else. Let's see who can like do the best job. And like so far, Overtime's been able to like crush it at TikTok. And also, it's just fun. Like you would crush it on there. I think anyone like who is funny and a college student or younger would have a lot of fun on there.
yeah. It's just such a relatable app. How did you kind of find like? How did you kind of find the upbringing of TikTok? Someone kind of tell you, or just you're like, I see it.
I'm trying to remember because like when it first came out, that was like a like it. So it was Musically, that app that like
Yeah,
a lot of people used. And then someone at our company was like, "Hey, like we should get on this," and I was like, "No." Like it probably took like 6 or 8 weeks. And then for me and our CEO Dan kind of always says this. Dan Porter, you guys can look him up. He's cool. He's done a lot of cool stuff. He made it like competitive in some way. He does that to me all the time. He's like, well, this person is doing a really good job, but like you're not. And like I'm very competitive and like kind of crazy about it. So I remember just being like, okay, like let's see what happens. And like I posted one video, got like 1 million views, and I was like, I haven't stopped since basically.
sick.
And I don't let anyone else touch that account but me. Like at overtime, like obviously we have other people that work on social media, but like when it comes to overtime's TikTok, like that's my baby.
Really,
Um,
that's
so I'm
awesome.
just like, this is my thing. I don't remember what it was. I think I just remember, whether it was real or fake, I have no idea, but they did a really good job of of helping you do a really good job right when you joined. So like Overtime's first few posts did amazing. And once you get that early satisfaction, I mean, like I feel like probably same with you, like your
Yeah, you
first
just
few
never
YouTube
stop.
videos did well. You're just like, I'm all
Yeah.
in. So that's kind of what happened with us.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Growing up in Westchester County, what was kind of your family atmosphere like?
I'm really lucky. Like I have the best family in the world. I know everyone says that, but like I had a really good support system. I have two older sisters and like cousins that were like really good at like showing me kind of the path and stuff. But yeah, growing up, I mean, I played a lot of sports, basketball and football mainly all through high school. I was never like the best student in the world, but like when I liked something, I was really good at it. And like when I would put time into it. And I just loved sports. Like my life, I think unlike you and like even a lot of people like who are in college now, like I had no idea there was any jobs in sports other than playing or coaching. So like growing up, I played and I was like, okay, like whenever I'm done playing, whatever level that's at, then I'll start coaching. Cause like I would watch like ESPN and see people talking about sports. And I didn't like put together like, oh, that's a job or like, oh, there's social media accounts. Someone like does that for a living. Like I just didn't get that.
Yeah.
Um, so I started so to fast forward, I went to college to play basketball at Springfield College in Massachusetts, D3 school. I played 1 year and I liked it, but I was obsessed with the idea of coaching and becoming really good at it. I felt like I could do it. So I transferred home to Iona, which is like a school like near me basically. And I started coaching. I started coaching high school football and basketball. I started my own AAU basketball program. Got a really cool opportunity to like coach in college if I wanted to. Uh, and I was like sick. Like I'm all set. Like this is a wrap. Like I know what I want to do. Like this is gonna be fun. And then my junior year of college, my mom was like, "You need to get into summer internship." And I was like, "No, I don't. Like I work more than any. Like legit. I was coaching like 17 different teams. Like when I like something, like I'm all in. Like I started coaching and I was like, I'm gonna do this nonstop. And she's like, "No, you need an internship, like just in case." So I Googled sports internship, and I skipped to the 50th page of Google. I didn't think a single person on the first 49 pages of Google would hire me. And I was probably right. And on the 50th page, there was a company called Tally, which is now called Overtime. And I was like their first intern. They had 3 or 4 full-time people there at the time. And like for Overtime, the rest is history. But like my support system of having like a great family and pushing me the whole time and always being supportive, like that's like where it all kind of starts.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, are you Italian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I can remember us talking about that at that lunch and kind of comparing stories about our moms.
Oh yeah. My mom is awesome. I think I mentioned to you before we started recording, like she's been cooking for me nonstop since I've been home.
Yeah.
She like is convinced I'm way too skinny right now. Like the whole
That's an
deal.
Italian mom thing though. Like
The
they
whole
like
deal.
show their love through like food and meatballs and
I say it all the time because people are always like, help your mom. And I'm like, there's just nothing that makes my mom happier than me like eating and then like feeling good about it. Like
yeah.
she's so happy.
Oh, that's
So
so
it's awesome.
Italian.
But at the same time, like is on my case, right? The smallest thing in the world. Like, the dog, my dog is like 17 years old and like can barely walk at this point. But like if I don't put the gate up, I'm getting yelled at. And
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, like the dog can't even walk. Like, come on.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. That oh my God, that reminds me of my house too. So like you said, you went to the 50th page and you found an internship. What was Tally at that time?
Tally was like a really crappy sports app where you would like we weren't really sure what levels we were at, so it was like you would do some mostly pro sports, some college, some high school, and you basically like take a picture of something and write like a short 3 sentence blog on it. So like kind of like a blend between like Reddit, Instagram, and like a sports blog. And it was terrible. And then we kind of moved over to doing that same thing but with video. So that was kind of how it started. But like for me, it wasn't about what the app was. It was about the people I was working with. And I mentioned Dan before, and like our other co-founder Zach, and then our COO Ali. Like those are the 3 people that started it and who I first started working with. Like whether that app was good or not had like nothing to do with like those 3 people were like incredible. Like I was lucky during one of my coaching gigs. I worked with like really good coaches, and they were like super hardworking, way more driven than other people. And I realized then, like, okay, I need to find people like that,
Yeah.
like people who are like super focused, work really hard, who are really smart. And then I got to Tally and I was like, whoa, like these people are way smarter, way harder working. Like, if it's not this, they're going to do something else that's amazing. So I just became like, whatever you need me to do, like, I'll do it basically.
Yeah, that's sick. So what was kind of the attraction in the applying process?
Oh, whatever said sports and like
Really?
would take my application was getting like a flag from me. That one specifically, like Allie, who like I'll mention a ton. She's like my homie. Like I remember she wrote the job description. It just sounded like fun. Like
Mhm.
we have a very young voice. Like you don't, most job descriptions you would look at and be like, you need 8 years of this, and like,
Yeah.
you need to be like fluent in Spanish and like all this like crazy stuff that like you end up not doing with your jobs. This one was like, you want to make some money and like do some cool shit with your friends and like talk about
That's awesome.
sports and like you don't have to be a genius to do it. And I was like, this is awesome. And like,
Yeah.
even talking to you about it now, it's shaped what overtime is 4 or 5 years later. Like, and it's something you can relate to, basically.
So when working at overtime in that first couple months, how did you guys kind of learn to find your niche of what you guys are in now?
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time, like years, basically. Like, I would say there's two really big jumps for us. We were covering all different sports, like I said, and then we're in New York City, and we had this technology to go film games. So we created an app where you could film something and post it in real time. It would come to me, and then I could like blast out the social media, like this really cool tech. And we're in New York City, so like to test it out, like we were gonna go film like New York City basketball games. So like think of like Dykeman and Rucker Park are like these big high school or New York City basketball places where Kevin Durant's gone and all these like amazing players have been before. So we would go out and film these games, mostly of high school kids, and post them. And what we realized was these kids had like thousands of followers, and like you realize it now, like these high school kids like are famous. And we had like 10,000 followers, and like a kid has like 100,000 followers, or even like 10 or like 20,000 followers. They would post something, and like we would grow a ton from it.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I think that like started to formulate that, and we always wanted to attract the youngest fan. And I think at a pretty early stage, we realized, okay, like, let's show them people that are their age. That's how like the high school stuff worked. And then when it really blew up was like we were doing a great job covering New York. And then we were like, okay, like there's a couple other kids out there, like Zion Williamson's in South Carolina, LaMelo Ball's in California. How do we get out of New York City and cover these kids who are like nationally big instead of the New York City kids who are like regionally big?
Yeah.
So we went to a tournament in Las Vegas, where all of them were Zion, LaMelo, Mac McClung, all these big kids, and LeVar, who like wasn't a player but like was like coaching. And we probably had like 15 viral clips in like 4 days that like no one else had, because we were filming all these kids that like no one was filming these people at that time. And we grew like 100,000 Instagram followers like in like a couple weeks, like in a week, where like before that it was like if we grew 100 followers a week, it was great.
You're fired up.
Yeah, bro. I mean, like you're running social, and like people are sending you clips, and you're like, I don't know what to do with all this.
Yeah.
And like that's when I realized, like, oh my god, like there are people in this world that like everyone cares about.
What was kind of that first video that kind of got overtime on the map? Was it those games in Las Vegas?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ones. Like one that wasn't viral at all that we convinced ourselves was viral. Like I think I've told it once before. Like this kid, Jalik Felton, who is Raymond Felton's cousin, I believe. He had like a poster dunk. He's out in North Carolina, and Steph Curry reposted our clip on Steph Curry's page. Didn't tag overtime or anything. Like looking back, it meant absolutely nothing, but we were convinced that we were like the most viral company ever because Steph Curry posted a video with like the O logo on it. So that like ended up not doing anything, but I was convinced it did. And then other than that, I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of moments, but yeah, that week in Vegas was the first where I was like, oh my God, like everyone knows who we are. Like this is insane. Like we're growing so fast. So yeah, I mean, and those moments don't get smaller. Like still, if we
Really?
have a
That's
clip
like
go
so
viral,
sick to think back on. Oh
yeah.
my God.
I mean, you're in like the game of growing like a page and stuff. Like when you have those moments, like that's what you work for, right? Like you post all these things and you work on all these videos, and then like one pops, and you're like, the whole world can change. Like
I
it's
know.
incredible.
That reminds me. I remember I had like 200 subscribers, and I made a shooting video with my buddy Dan and his brother Dylan, and I got like
I remember
200
it.
subscribers like in a weekend, and I was like, oh my God, I'm making it, dude. This is it.
Yeah, and like
I still remember those moments, and it's just like God, and it's just like looking back, it's just like it's only 200 subscribers, but like that's what fired me up the most.
Yeah, I talked to a kid yesterday. He has 11,000 followers on like this New York sports page, and he was like, "You probably don't care, like just 11,000 followers." And I was like, "No, like I still like growing pages from scratch. Like I think it's awesome and fun."
Yeah.
But he had like one moment where he grew like several hundred followers, and like those little, like they seem little, but like they can change everything. It's cool.
Yeah. So what's kind of your thought process when posting these videos? Like you said, you get a lot obviously throughout the day. What's the process with posting and titling and the hashtags?
Yeah. So, I mean, my main things, I mean, I've ran all different platforms, but my main things right now are TikTok and Instagram. And like, I do a lot of YouTube also, but like, those are the two main ones. So basically for us, we get sent thousands of videos, we film thousands of videos. I mean, this isn't like a skill. I mean, it is a skill, I guess, but like, it's kind of everything I think about is like, would I want to see it? Because like no one's seen more videos than me. So like if I'm impressed by a video, like I'm pretty sure other people will like it or think it's cool or think it's funny. So that was my thought process. Like on every video, I look at it and I'm like, do I think it's cool or not? And like I trust my gut. Like I
Okay.
think most people should trust their gut, but we're getting videos from that we film, right? So we go and film like games all over the country. So like there's highlights from there. There's videos that are sent to us. There's TikTok videos that we're curating. So when I think about it on like I'll just use Overtime's Instagram for example. We have like 12 to 15 posts a day. I know that like 3 of them are going to be highlights that we filmed.
Hmm.
I know that one of them is going to be like a throwback video. People love seeing like we get, new followers every day. So showing a video from 2 years ago that maybe over half of our followers haven't seen before, like people love that. So like that's 4 posts that I already know are happening. We have like a long form video. So like we have series that come out on YouTube and then we cut them down into like IGTVs.
Okay.
I know I'm going to get something from there. We film a daily show just reacting to like the 5 funniest things that we saw on the internet that day. Like I know something's coming from there. And then we have other pages. So we have like a football page, a soccer page, a women's basketball page, gaming page. And I look through those pages to see what's performed well for them and might utilize that on the overtime. And then there's just curating stuff, creating things, TikToks that our own talent creates. So like it's kind of a lot when I think about it that way. There's like videos coming from everywhere,
Yeah.
but I try to think about it like, okay, I have these 12 to 15 slots. I'm gonna fill it with 1 video here, 2 video there, 3
Keep
video, and
going
then
up. Yeah.
but nothing's more fun than like when news breaks, right? Like because then it's like drop everything you're doing and figure it out. Like
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard signs with the Clippers at 1 a.m. like the weekend of 4th of July, and it's like I don't have anything prepared, but I'm gonna figure it out. Like that's my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome. And you kind of hit on it, like, do you ever stop? Like, do you have shifts? Like, does someone take like the morning shift or like, do you ever put your phone down? Like, I mean, honestly.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you because we're homies, but I don't tell that many people. No, I don't ever put my phone down. I try to make it seem like it's like kind of easy and like I can do it at all times, but you can't. I mean, I posted to Instagram now. The last time I didn't was August 14th, 2016.
Damn.
Uh, so
Wow.
it's like over 1,400 days or something now. I don't. Someone's gonna call me up in the comments for the math probably, but like it's something like 1,400 or 1,500 straight days I posted to Overtime's Instagram. And it is a lot, right? Like it's 24/7. I'm not gonna act like it's the easiest thing in the world. Posting sports clips is really fun. Like
Yeah.
so, like I'm not complaining. Um, but I think it's part of what makes Overtime different, and that's not just me. A lot of the people who run our accounts, they're very nonstop. Now, a lot of people have like a day off here and there. They have someone else who can help them out. But for me, it's like we wanted Overtime to be, we didn't want it to feel like a brand or a company. We wanted it to feel like a person. And I feel like that account is like me. Like I'm putting out things that I enjoy. The captions are in my voice. And to have full ownership over it, I felt like was the only way for me to do that. So like I think you can see it sometimes when you look at other accounts. Like if multiple people are running it, you don't feel that like personality come through. Like for bad day, like my captions will reflect that. And I think even if followers don't understand that, I feel like deep down it kind of works its way in there. So that's why I do it. But yes, I'm on my phone 24/7. My family and girlfriend and friends do not like it, but I think they appreciate it also.
Yeah. I was about to ask, how does that like go down? Let's say you're on like a dinner date with your girlfriend. Like, what is she? What type of one-liners is she hitting you with?
I mean, I really wish the NBA slam dunk contest wasn't the same night as Valentine's Day this past year because that wasn't fun at all for anyone involved. She's awesome. My family's awesome. They understand how much I love it. I think I hit on it earlier. Like, I did not like school. Like, if I don't like something, like I can't do it. Like it's just not in me. And there aren't that many things I like. Like, and this is something I like. I think there are definitely times where people are like, yo, can you just put it down? But at this point, right, like I'm over 4 years into it, or 4 years into it, 3, 4 years, like I'm all in. Like there's nothing else going on that's been with me longer than the account, basically, or like my
True.
parents. So people understand that, and it's tough. Like I think if you're trying to do something different, it's always going to be tough.
Yeah. I really want to know, how did the whole like at overtime and then your name start? I think that's like so sick. I don't know why like more companies don't do that.
You know what's funny? Today I was looking into like how I could change my name and not have it
No.
anymore.
Why?
At Tom has like 12,000 followers. Like I could definitely get that account from him.
That would be
No, I love it. To be completely honest, I was the first person to do it.
Oh, really?
I'm not trying to take credit away from anyone, but yeah, it was
Oh,
definitely
okay.
me. Basically, like we were doing this show, and like I was like, "Yo, what's up? This is Overtime Tom," and like that was the first thing that came out of my mouth, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, that's kind of dope." The video got like 1,000 views, and I was like, "I'm so famous, I need to change my Instagram handle so that people go and
okay.
find me." So I changed my Instagram handle like Overtime Tom. I think a couple of days later, like Larry, who's like the face and a lot of people know, changed his to Overtime Larry. Tay, who like films a lot of our best videos, he changed to Overtime Tay. And then ever since then, it's happened. And now it's happened to a point where it's like, it's a lot of fans do it, a lot of followers do it. And like, I mean, there's hundreds of people with Overtime in their username. It's pretty awesome. Like, it's like a little club that is good.
What was it before at overtime, Tom?
I think it was just like my initials and then like my last name and some random. It was long. It was not good.
Okay.
Funny thing, I know I run all these social accounts. I like was not active on social media whatsoever before working at Overtime. Like
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
had a Twitter account, I had an Instagram account to like that I didn't post on. So it just kind of happened.
Okay, well, let's say fast forward, I don't know how many years, and you're not at overtime. What's your handle?
It's a good one. I don't know. Some people would say like once I'm done running Overtime's accounts, I need to give up social media and get off my phone. But oh, what's my handle? I don't know. One, I can't commit to a name. Sometimes I go by Tom, sometimes I go by Thomas. So like to pick one would be really hard. Wow, that's yeah. What's yours? Mitch Pelkey 22. I might have to take that one.
No, it's just Mitchell_Pelkey.
No, I mean probably something with my name. I don't know. I would like to keep it simple. I have a few random ones that I like would throw in there, but I can't disclose them.
There we go, I like that. So
I'm not telling
obviously,
Steele.
like you said, tremendous success through like all your social media accounts. With like you said, TikTok over 9 million followers. Which account are you most proud of?
Wow. It definitely comes down to the Overtime TikTok or the Overtime Instagram account. Instagram, I've just been running longer, and it's like getting 1 million followers on Instagram. Now we're at 3.6. 1 million was maybe the best feeling of my life. Like
I remember that, you guys passing that, and then you guys posted the sickest Instagram video of all time. I thought it was so hype.
I mean, I cry every time I see it. But so I was really proud to do that. I think I like TikTok right now because it's newer. I mean, to grow 10 million followers in like barely over a year is pretty insane. So like the success is cool, and like we get to walk into a room now and be like, yeah, we're the #1 sports account in the world. Like,
That's sick.
who's saying that?
Yeah.
So that's cool. I don't know. I'm proud of all of them. My favorite one to look at is Overtime WBB, which I don't run. It's our women's basketball account. Funny story. You know, I had an Overtime Lax account, right?
Yeah, whatever happened? That was one of the questions I was gonna ask.
Dog, you guys let me down. You lacrosse players let me down.
What happened?
So I mean, I started. I convinced my CEO. I was like, yo, like Lax is. I'm from Westchester,
Yeah.
Yorktown, John Jay. We got the Long Island schools, a little Manhasset action. I'm in it, and I didn't play lacrosse, but like I knew a lot about it, and I was like, no one is covering these kids to the extent I wanted. So I took a crack at it. We did it for like a year. Granted, Overtime was not that big of a brand then, but it was hard. You know, it was tough. The that athletes in lacrosse, the top kids, which is, I mentioned it with basketball, we grew a lot from the top kids sharing us. The top kids in lacrosse, they don't want that type of. It's not they don't want exposure, but it's like it's not in their kind of DNA to like want to promote themselves like that, I think. And they don't have the following yet of like a basketball player. And also it's tough to film. Like it's tough to kind of like.
Yeah, it's true that you say that because I was talking with my boys yesterday and we were like talking about how all these football guys like, oh, I just got my 13th offer to this school, and like for lacrosse, like no guys bragging about their offers.
Yeah, and I think it's just the type of person. Like I don't think there's a right way or wrong way, but so it was hard, and like honestly was just taking up a lot of my time, and I was like, that account still lives somewhere. Follow Overtime Lax if you guys want. I've thought about making the Lax TikTok account because I think it would do well on TikTok.
Yeah.
Just because like I think the music and the highlights work better than like the other stuff, but I don't know. One day.
One day, I like that.
I still believe in Lax.
There we go. So what's kind of one thing through your whole process at Overtime that you thought was going to be like the one, like this is it, like after this we're golden, but then it ended up being a fail?
Ooh, so many come to mind. Like, I mean, before I get into that, like that is the one thing I'd say is we've tried so many things that failed. And like, not to say that we're like the best company ever and we're the most successful ever, but like you have to go through a lot of those failures in order to get to like that's true. I mean, I think every athlete feels that when they're playing sports, but like you feel it even more when you're like in business, I think. I mean, early days, we created an app that like you could add effects to your highlights. So like if you dunked, you could like have like the rim come down and like some crazy stuff. And we thought it was so cool and no one used it. What else? I mean, Overtime originally, like we did want to cover every kid. Like we didn't want to like a lot of what we do right now is we cover a lot of the top kids. But we did want to come up with a way to cover the random kid from your high school or my high school who like maybe is a low D3 player or not even. So we worked a lot at like covering all these kids across the country. And what happened was a lot of the kids were like embarrassed because they're like, look, I'm not as good as like Zion. Like, please stop putting my videos online. People are making fun of me. So that was tough. I mean, we put in a whole, like, I kind of just ran through that, but we put in a whole process to be able to film thousands of games and like, it was a lot of work.
A lot of trial and error.
What else? I don't know. Those are some main ones. I'm sure some more will come to me. I mean, I've tried a lot of different sports that failed.
Yeah. I like that though. So obviously myself being a YouTube guy, I want to know this. What do you think is most important? Is it the title of the video? Is it the thumbnail, the tags, or is it the actual like content?
Yeah. I mean, look, they're all important. My main focus is title and cover image on my side. Like a lot of what I do personally is I look at things. I'm like, okay, what do I know will perform well, right? Like before we even go shoot, like what kind of already clicks well on the internet? What do I think is gonna lead to a good hook or a good title or cover image? And then we leave our video team to go create that. And like they have their own vision. They create it all. They come back with what they think is gonna be the best story. And then with what they come back with, it's my job to look through it and think like, okay, what is like gonna work the best? So I think it's all important. When it comes to the content, like before you go out and shoot something, it's like, okay, what would already click and like what do people care about? And we do a really good job of, like I said, focusing on like several athletes or several types of topics that people care about. But then when it comes to covering title and cover image, like those can make or break a video. You could spend $1 billion on a video and make the most epic thing ever. And if your title is awful, like no one might click into it.
Yeah.
So like I personally, me and Overtime Sam, we could spend like hours on like a title of a video, like going back and forth, changing one word, one letter here, one quote there, thinking. Like, I mean, we did a video the other day. I think at 2 a.m. we finally locked down a title for the following day. So it's all important. I think the title it's annoying how important it is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
because it's such a small thing and you're like, God, but it's so important.
My biggest advice and something that I'm not great at is like for someone like you who's creating stuff and editing it and doing it all, like write the title before you even go shoot it. Yeah. Like you're already gonna feel good about it then. I mentioned, I think we talked about it earlier, like hot, you had something about like the hot chip challenge. Like
Mhm.
I immediately wanted to see that. And I gave it some advice to someone the other day. It's like, when it comes to vlogging, a lot of people do like, here's what my day is, but you need to have something that people are waiting to happen. Like, what's the challenge of the day? Or like, what am I waiting to get to? Like, what's that end thing? So it's like, you might just be showing your day, but by the end of today, I need to pick up my sister from school. And like, that's like the smallest example ever. But there's something that people are like, okay, like he's running through all these challenges, all these things are happening. He went to the gym and the door was locked. His car, the tire broke. But at the end of the day, how is he going to end up picking up his sister from school? Like there always needs to be something at the end that people are waiting for. And it needs to be quick throughout so that you can't skip through to just get to the end, right? Like if I miss 10 seconds of this, I might be missing the most important little tidbit or hint. And there are vloggers who, like, I think we would all agree are awful people, but they're really good at like doing those stories and having like a
Uh-huh.
start and an end. So I don't know. It's all important is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, it's cool to hear you think about it like that because I mean, from my side, it's just like film, edit, post, but there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that really matters.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
this is a question I thought it would be a good question. And I really want to know, what do you think you would be most successful at if it was just you? You'd be the best podcaster, best vlogger, best TikToker. What would you
Good
say?
question. That's a good question because like for me, like growing up, I didn't have one skill that I was like obsessed with, but my one skill that I did love doing was like figuring out what people needed help with and fixing that problem for them, right? So like at overtime, for instance, like wasn't like I went there and I was like, I want to run your social. It was like, oh, I'm working here and like no one here runs social media. Like there's no one knows how to do it. I'm going to teach myself and learn how to do it. So like if I had to do stuff on my own, I mean, knowing what I know now, like how could I run other people's social, right? There's so many people and it's hard for me sometimes. I have a conversation with companies and they're like, they think I'm speaking like a different language, right? Like, and I'm like, you just talk to any person who's like under the age of whatever, they can understand this, but like you don't understand this at all. So I don't know. I think like if I was doing my own thing, like I would be helping other companies or other people with social. Like that is kind of my thing. And I love it. So something like that probably.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of switch directions here. I want to talk about the apparel side. I feel like that's something you guys are really trying to hit this year. And what has been kind of the shift? I mean, from past apparel to now, it seems like it's way different.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately starting with overtime, I was super lucky in that, our people at the top are like two co-founders. They're like, just post stuff and make stuff that people are going to like and build our following as big as possible. And now it's like, okay, we have this big following. Like, what else can we give them, right? Like, content is only so much. Like, how can we give them apparel? How can we give them technology? How can we put them in clubs where they can hang out with each other? Like, how can we do all these different things? And apparel is the big one where it's like you have such a big community. And that is what Overtime's built, right? Like, we might not have the most followers in the world, but like the people who follow Overtime like love Overtime. Like you mentioned it when like they changed their username and like they want to rep the gear. And when we first started, we had our athletes wearing the gear mostly, right? And it felt like a lot of people had it, but really it was like, okay, like 50 kids in the country have it. They just all happen to have like 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
Um, and now it's like, how can we make that so other people can have it? So we have, I mean, and also the part is growth, right? Like we started with 5 people in our company and now we have 100 people in our company and 5 of them or 10 of them are part of like an apparel team. So they design awesome gear. Like I'm not just saying this, like I'm super picky about my clothes. Like this design is like the most I'll ever have on a t-shirt. I'm basically always wearing a plain t-shirt. Um, so they create sick gear. It's really comfortable. And yeah, I mean, I think it's part of a business and like trying to build a brand. And we're finally at a point where we have enough followers and big enough community where we feel like we can make a splash with it.
Yeah. So what would you say is next for the company over time?
I mean, getting through COVID is like the number one thing, right? Like, you know, we had to like totally shift gears where, we're used to going out and filming all these shows and filming all these games and figuring that out. So that was like the next thing. And we've done I'm super proud of how we've kind of handled that. And now from there, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I mean, our we're always going to try to build our community as big as possible, right? Like it's not like our followers don't keep growing. Like we want to grow them as big as possible. We want apparel to keep growing. We want to keep building our other sports, right? So like we're really big in basketball. This past year, we've almost tripled, I think, in football. Now, how can we do that in women's basketball, soccer, gaming, and keep expanding to other sports? But I think there's a lot of things that we have the opportunity to do. I mean, depends a lot about like what happens with these college athlete rules, with them being able to get paid. High school athletes, same exact deal. So a lot is up for what can happen in the future, and I think that we're in a really good position to be able to maximize and help people in the biggest way.
Yeah, yeah. Sweet. We'll come to our last segment here. Quick talk on Pelk Talk. I'm going to give you a quick phrase. Give me a quick answer.
All right, let's do it. I love it.
Favorite food?
I'm nervous. Pizza.
Everyone has said pizza.
No, I don't want to say pizza. Tacos.
Okay, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday!
Favorite social media app?
TikTok.
The trend you hated the most?
I don't like when people dab.
Best athlete you've filmed with?
LaMelo Ball.
Worst athlete you filmed with?
Mitchell Pelk.
Most overrated thing in New York?
The food.
Will the Knicks ever win NBA Finals in your lifetime?
Yes.
If you weren't working at Overtime, what would you be doing?
I think I'd be coaching basketball probably, or be a guidance counselor somewhere in coaching basketball.
Last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I think, hopefully Overtime has grown to one of the biggest sports or just media companies in general out there, and we're continuing to grow and hopefully working with a really cool team and just continue to make it bigger and better.
Sweet. Overtime.
Was that a lame answer?
No, that was good. I like that. All right, well, Tom, I appreciate you coming on. Where can the fans find you at?
Follow all of Overtime first. So at Overtime on all social media. And then like if you really, really want to follow me, I'm at Overtime Tom on Instagram.
Sweet. Well, big Tom out here doing it live. Nice interview, Tom. I really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.